Welcome to Board Game Empire. We're going to be giving you an overview and review of the expansion for Roll Player called Fiends and Familiars. So this video would be for someone that already has Roll Player or thinking about buying Roll Player, the base game, because you have to have that in order to play this one. They suggest you play this Fiends and Familiar with the Roll Player base game along with the monsters and minions. We do not have the monsters and minions. We hope to get that soon, but we just played the base game with Fiends and Familiars. So I'm just going to go over, I'm not going to go over how to play and all that because that's in our first video with the base game, but I will go over what's added when you get this expansion, and then we'll talk about if we thought it was a good expansion and all that. So the game plays the same, basically, for the most part, the same mechanics. You're using the same type character boards. You're just adding these familiars. There's 15 of them included, I think, of different familiars. And those just go up on top of your character board, and they're just used just like your other characters. They do not have a special ability when you place the dice. However, you do score on them if you get within a certain range, and you score in-game points if you have the corresponding dice in the same slots as they show here. You get points if you have 2 of them that match or 3 that match.
Well, some do have a ability when you do place a die because...
Well, I'm just getting ready to say that. No, I mean the special ability here.
Oh, okay.
There is a special ability that you can use on some of them. They're all different. Some of them give you gold, some give you XP. It's just, they all vary. I think Anthony had one that gave him charisma, didn't you?
Yeah, charisma and I think honor.
Some of them allow you to duplicate these abilities that are on the main character board.
The one I did have just recently that we just played, it allowed me to remove a fiend. I get experience for it.
Yeah, so they all have all different ones. And there's 15 of them. You just deal them randomly, or if you want, you could choose the one you want. We were just dealing them randomly. On top of that, there's also, actually, those are familiars. There's fiends. These are all hindrances, but they are basically go on the card here, depending on how many players. We played in both a 3-player game and a 2-player game. In a 2-player game, you would have your 1 and 2, and then you would have your fiend card that's always on the last one. And in order to take the dice that's here, you also have to put that fiend by your player board, and it is a hindrance. They're all different kinds. Some hinder you during the hunt. Some hinder you when you place dice in certain rows. They're all different, and you do have to pay to banish them. Otherwise, you just deal with them the entire game. It's up to you. But that is a new addition in this expansion. That it does add more cards. It adds 38 more market cards. It adds 12 monster cards. Also adds 54 more adventure cards. It also includes minions, which these are part of this game. These minions are what you get to hunt. So during the market phase, normally you can buy a card or discard a card for 1 gold. In the expansion, you get 2 gold when you discard a card. But you can forgo both of those and decide to hunt. So you have a whole deck of minions here. You have to get rid of, just like in the base game for market cards, you do have to get rid of so many. You put the 1 dots and 2 dots on top of each other and then remove a certain amount off the top based on how many players they are. But each of these minions allow you to roll 1 combat die, and then, the 2 ones say roll 1 combat die, and they all have different things that they are having you do that manipulate how you roll against them. Like this one, you add your dex attribute to score the result, and you roll 1 die. You can purchase dice for 5 gold called mercenaries. So if you want to do that and add on die, those are the 2 dots obviously are the harder ones. The one dot ones, like this one's an easy one. Actually, no, that's adventure token. That's these. You gain these tokens when you beat the minion. If you beat it at the trophy level, you get to look at one of these cards, starting with the location, then the obstacle, then the attack, and you gain the corresponding adventure token. Those do come in play certain times. Sometimes these cards will give you more combat dice when you're battling boss based on how many you have. Some of these, like this one, a combat dice for each adventure token you have. This one was a combat die for each base value of 1 on your character sheet. So there's all different ways to gain combat dice on these based on if you meet that requirement. Otherwise, you could purchase them with gold if you want, or XP. Is it XP you can purchase them with too?
No, I'm not sure about XP, but you could purchase 5 gold gets you 1 mercenary. So
3 XP or 5 gold. XP is also something that's added. These little XP cubes.
They're here 3 gold, 3 XP, 5 gold.
Right, you could spend. Those are harder to get, the XP, or you could pay 5 gold for each combat dice you want. They also added the Call to Adventure card that goes into the market deck a certain number of cards down based on how many players. So once that comes up, you'll be placing, unlike the base game, you're placing 2 dice on each of the cards until this card comes up. Then you switch it to 1 dice on each of the initiative cards. So it kind of, the beginning of the game goes by a little faster. You're getting more dice, doing more things. And then as soon as that card comes out, I think it was after the 15th card in a 2-player game, if you have just this expansion. However, if you have, you're going to be discarding more market cards. If you have both expansions, you'll be discarding a lot more market cards, like twice as many. But we only discarded 20 cards out of the market deck because we only have the 1 expansion, and we placed the Call to Adventure card under the 15th market card. So as soon as she came out, we switched to only putting 1 dice on each of those. So you're always going to have a fiend on this one, and you're going to have 1 dice or 2 dice on each based on where you are in the game. And then, of course, you still have the gold that you place on those. In a 2-player game, you're only going to have 4 market cards. 5-player game, or 3-player game, you're going to have 5, and so on. So, of course, you go to the end of the game. The end of the game is when all the players have their character sheets filled up with dice, and that's when you battle that monster. You turn over these and see who gets additional combat dice based on meeting certain criteria. Ours was you got a combat dice for each gold dice you had in your middle columns.
And then strength and dexterity.
Dex and CHA attributes if you had 30 or more, which I was nowhere close to that. And then all players with 3 or more banished fiend cards gain 3 combat dice. So that was a good one if you happen to. He was battling a lot, so he was battling a lot, and he was taking this die a lot. So he had a lot of fiends that he had banished. So he was able to get those 3 combat dice. Our second game, we actually ended up in a tie. He beat me because he had 1 gold. I had 0 gold. I spent all my gold for combat dice. So it was a very close game. In the 3-player game, I won that one. Yeah. It was close too, though. I beat Quentin by 1 point. Yeah. I beat him by 1 point.
Yeah.
You weren't close to us.
No.
But honestly, this game feels the same with 2 players or 3 players. It doesn't really matter because there's really no player interaction in this. So you're basically just focusing on your own character sheet and what helps you with all these cards. I will say this isn't an expansion that just adds more cards. It adds more stuff. So if you found the base game of Roll Player to be too much to remember because you're having to remember your where you need to place your dice to get your backstory. the class, trying to get your alignment. So if that was already too much for you to try to keep up with strategy-wise, this probably wouldn't be a great expansion for you because it adds more of that. Not only are you keeping up with that, you now have a familiar that has an ability you can use. Of course, you're purchasing traits and armor and weapons and skills, and that's in the base game that you're keeping up with. You've got your fiends now. As you gain those, if you really want that highest dice, you're going to have fiends you got to keep up with that will manipulate your gameplay as well to the negative. So it does add a lot more to keep up with, but at the same time, it does add more, I guess, depth to the game, I guess, and more variety. So if you've played Roll Player a lot and you've got it down, this would be a great expansion to add. We haven't played the monsters and minions, so I don't know what that adds, if that maybe just adds cards, because they say you should play both of these with it, so I'm not sure what, we'll have to play that in the future and let you know. I will say it was painful, our first game, because we had not played Roll Player in years. So we made the mistake of adding the expansion in and not really learning the base game first, relearning it, because we had not played it and we could not remember it all. We had to totally relearn it. And so I think it was one of the first games we covered on this channel. So it's not that we don't like the game, we just haven't had time to play it again.
We mostly gave it like a 9, so...
Yeah, so we liked it, but we had to relearn it and add this expansion in. So our first game was kind of painful. So Anthony and I played it again once because we had it down. We played it again, and I will say, for me, it was very enjoyable. I even enjoyed it when it was painful.
Well, with the expansion.
Right. Well, I enjoyed it, too, when we were going back through the learning curve. Yeah. But... But it was a struggle a little bit to try to relearn everything and add the expansion. So what did you think of this game?
You mean the expansion?
Oh, yeah, the expansion.
Well, I think it adds a lot more depth, like you said. It really makes it more kind of like because you're able to fight the minions. I think it pretty much makes it more like a dungeon game, or, pretty much those style games, even like D&D type game, because of your strength, dexterity, all that pretty much factors into fighting the minions, and so it does pretty much cater to a lot of those specifics, like if you've ever played D&D, and so I really enjoyed the new aspects of the expansions. I really like the familiar that you get. The first one was better than the second one I got. I mean, the second one did help because it got rid of the fiends. The fiend cards, I see why they did it, to balance it out more and punish the people that just want to go for the bigger numbers. But yeah, that was painful because I kept getting fiends because I needed them to score, or otherwise I wouldn't score. So, and then also I forgot what these are called, but...
Market cards?
No, the minions.
Minions.
Yeah, the minions, I really enjoy that aspect of the game.
Yeah, it makes it fun.
Yeah, because it allows you to just do something else besides the market. It's without the minions, the market's all you have. Mm-hmm. And so the minions and the fiends, and then also being able to...
you added it adds the monsters here.
Yeah, and then also it pretty much the location and everything that you're allowed to do once you be a minion.
Yeah, because these are hidden. It's a hidden...
Yeah, it benefits whoever is pretty much...
Yeah, it's got hidden information.
Fighting the minions a lot.
Right. So it does entice you to fight those, to try to get that hidden information for the boss battle.
Which I thought would be more beneficial for me since she didn't do it, but we still tied. Of course, I was pretty much focusing more on the minions this time as opposed to the first game. And so I was... the first game I was more focused on the background story and also the... what's this part? The class. And so this time I focused more on the minions and the boss at the end of the game. And so I really enjoyed it. I think that this expansion, it really makes it a way better game. Is it needed? I think so, especially if you play Roll Player a lot. Even if you don't, I think that if this was part of the base game, I think it would definitely give more play and people would enjoy it more, because I think the whole just market part of the game is okay and we enjoyed it. But when you add the minions, it definitely elevates it. And so I would give it like a 9.5 out of 10. I think it's a expansion that really does bring it and makes it way better.
And I forgot to take, the boss battle occurs when you've filled up your character sheets, including your familiar, when you've got all your dice. That's the end of the game, and that's when the boss battle occurs. You turn these over, and like I stated before, people gain their combat dice based on the requirements, and then you get additional points based on if you beat the initial health of the boss, which is up here. So she's at 9. So if you had at least a 9 for your roll, then you go down here and look at these numbers, and based on what range you rolled in is how many points you get. For this one, if you rolled 25 plus, you got 8 points, which we both did that because we had a ton of dice. We bought combat dice. We gained dice based on the hidden information. I only knew one of the cards, but it was enough for me to gain 3 dice just based on that. It also, I didn't mention this, it also adds honor and injury tokens. The honor gives you more strength in battles, and then the injury tokens take away your strength in battles. And they are some fiends that give you injury tokens for each time you do a certain thing. Like mine, I had one that each time I went to hunt, which is battling a minion, it gave me an injury token. So I needed to banish that one. That was a expensive turn because I had to purchase, I needed to pay to banish that minion or that fiend. And I think I purchased a combat dice because I wanted to make sure that I was able to get to the trophy level so I could at least get one of the hidden informations. I didn't get very lucky I hunted a lot in the first game. I didn't hunt that much this time because none of them, the ones that came out, I just did not, I knew there was no way I was going to get to the highest score that you needed to get the trophy because I had a lot of low dice this time around for some reason. So that kind of hindered me on that because a lot of the ones that came out were based on, you notice, well, you took the ones that I could do. That was the problem. The ones that I was able to do, that I knew I'd win, you'd already done them. So that was bad luck on my part. But, but yeah, that's the thing about the minions. It is luck based on which ones come out because sometimes you're gonna have a more beneficial dice and positions
setup
than the other people. And unfortunately, Anthony and I had similars, obviously, because everyone I was like, oh, cool. Sure enough, he would be going first because he had the lowest market initiative number, so I wasn't able to battle him. And then one would come out, there was like, no way. It would have not been worth it for me to even fight it. So, but for us, we think, I also think this is a great expansion to add to Roll Player, but if you're not into a more complex game, it's probably not the expansion for you because it does make this game more complex. The base game is more simple in the sense that it's just, you're trying to figure out, get your dice in the most strategic placements, get the best market cards to add onto your points and traits and skills and things. It does add a lot more to the game. But there's still not player interaction. It's just mainly keeping up with all the different abilities and things you've unlocked. But yeah, I would give this game a 9 for sure.
Maybe the expansion.
Or the expansion. It's still a game. So hopefully I know I was kind of all over the place and explained, but hopefully this helped you to decide whether this is an expansion you'd want to add, or if you may want to purchase Roll Player and this expansion at the same time.
I would advise, because this expansion definitely, I think it should be part of the base game.
But they also said you should play it with the monsters and what's it called? Monsters and what? I forget what that one's called. Monsters and Minions expansion.
Yeah.
So obviously, I'm guessing that one's just cards.
Yeah.
It would just be the Monsters and Minions.
Yeah.
So that's basically what this one is. This one just adds the Familiars and Fiends.
Yeah.
So obviously, this one added a few more Monsters and Minions. So that one would be even less complex than the Fiends and Familiars, because it's just added the Minions and Monsters. I see now. So, yeah, so that would be definitely a good one for us to get, because it would just add cards. It wouldn't add more complexity to the game. Because it does need more monsters. It has 6 for dual, like more than one player, and 6 for solo player in this version. So you would get more of those monsters. And you're limited because you can't pick monsters that are the same class color as any of the players. So it was very limiting kind of on which monsters we could choose because of that. So I could see how that other expansion would be better, because it would give you more minions and more monsters to play with. Because even though that's a big stack of minions, we were getting a lot of the same ones come out in both our games. So we liked it. So hopefully this video helped you decide if it's something you would want to get. So did you have anything else you wanted to say? Thank you for watching. Please feel free to leave a comment. We hope you give this video a like. If you're not already subscribed, we hope you subscribe to our channel. If you are, thank you so much for being a fan. Thank you again, and we look forward to seeing you next time.